Hey, Stephen, thanks for joining.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Phipps. Good evening, everybody. I would like to call Daly City Small Business Commission meeting to order December 9, 2021 at 7:02 p.m. Could I get someone to lead Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I have a flag, happy to lead.
Thank you.
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much, Mr. Phipps. And could I also get a roll call of commissioners present, please?
You got it. Commissioner Montiel.
Here.
Commissioner Hill. Yeah, it doesn't look like he's joined, so I'll make note of that. Commissioner Carson.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Espiritu. I see that you're present, Francis. If you are, please let us know. Commissioner Espiritu, going once.
Hello? Is that his? Oh, there he is. Okay.
There we go. Seems like your audio is working now. Commissioner Espiritu, thank you very much. That concludes roll call.
Thank you so much, Mr. Phipps. That means we've reached quorum, and Commissioner Hill should be joining us in the next 5 minutes or so. We're going to move on to announcements and communications. Do any of the other commissioners have any announcements or communications? Hearing none. Okay. If there are none from city management either, we can move on to approval of minutes. The minutes from our meeting on October 2021. Do we take a vote for this to approve the minutes? Yes, right?
Yeah, we can do a motion. Staff recommendation is to approve the minutes as distributed.
I'll make a motion then to approve the minutes for the October 14th meeting as distributed. Motion on the floor. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say thank you. Motion and a second. All those in favor, aye. Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. That sounded unanimous. Okay. Minutes approved. So moving on, it looks like we're going to have a discussion item number 2, ARPA allocation updates. Mr. Phipps, is that you?
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Chair Montiel. I'll just share really quickly. And of course, good evening, everyone. This informational item was added to this meeting's agenda in response to recent council approvals regarding allocations of the city's American Rescue Plan Act funds, or ARPA. These approvals were made at the council meeting on November 22nd. One of the primary ARPA spending categories approved by council includes assistance to households, small businesses, and nonprofits. The update this evening will focus on council approvals made within that category in connection with small business support. So specifically, council approved 2 separate allocations to support small businesses. The first allocation will be used to backfill the 33 unfunded Daly City applicants who applied under and were qualified for the county's restaurant, brewery, and winery grant program, but were not initially funded due to lack of program funds. The program was designed to support restaurants, breweries, and wineries that have suffered from the economic impact of COVID-19 through distribution of $10,000 grants. All applicants funded within this allocation have a brick and mortar location in the city of Daly City and satisfy the program's eligibility criteria, including operating prior to March 11, 2020, providing food service or sale of food from the establishment, and demonstrating an adverse economic impact from COVID-19, among other requirements. So the total allocation amount under this item is $330,000. The second small business supporting allocation includes a $500,000 distribution to SMC Strong for future small business supporting grant programs. This amount will be used to fund grants to local Daly City small businesses who qualify based on developed program criteria. The specific grants that will be funded will be determined based on future County Board of Supervisors approvals, as well as the number of qualified Daly City applicants. But for estimation purposes, assuming the grants provided range between $5,000 and $10,000, which seems to be the typical allocation amount for these kinds of programs, these monies could assist between 50 and 100 additional local businesses in their COVID-19 recovery. That concludes my summary for this item. I am available if there are any questions from commissioners. And with that, I will turn it back over to you, Commissioner Chair Monio.
Thank you so much, Mr. Phipps, and we appreciate the visual help there. Are there any questions or comments from fellow commissioners? Hearing none. Mr. Phipps, we'll be hearing about this continuously, right? As things start to roll?
In connection, where you're speaking to specific allocations under the second item, for example?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, certainly. We will keep you guys updated.
Okay, great. This is such a wonderful.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I do have a question.
Mr. Charles, you're here. Welcome.
Hey,
Thank
Bill.
you for joining us.
I've been here the whole time. I was decided to go on my phone, but I've been mute. So I was driving. So I just got stationary, trying to plug into a log on from my computer. But my question is, Mr. Phipps, what's going to be the process for notifying restaurateurs and the selection process? Because I know, although $300,000 seems like a lot of money, and obviously we're grateful for any resources that restaurants can receive, there are a lot of restaurants that are hurting. They're probably going to need it. So how would you, if someone called today and said to me, hey, how do we get access to the funds? What will be the selection process as well as the allocation process?
Great question. Per the first item, the restaurant assistance of unfunded applications, okay, those monies are going to be distributed to businesses who have already applied to a program, okay, that has opened and has also closed. So okay. It's going to fund the 33 eligible applicants in Daly City that were unfunded. They already have kind of checked all the necessary boxes. Okay. Hopefully that allocation will go to those businesses fairly efficiently. Sure. Regarding the second item, we have a couple methods that we use to keep our businesses in the know, as it were, related to SMC Strong grants that are available to them. And we have used the email database of our business licensing data to provide that and to send out kind of email blasts and things like that. So in addition to being able to reference the information that we provide in emails, my suggestion would be for business owners or folks that you speak to, if they want to learn more, to go onto SMC Strong's website to check out the existing grant programs that they're currently funding and providing assistance to small businesses with. So I can say at this time, the San Mateo County Board of Supervisors recently approved a new round of grants to help micro food businesses that have not received assistance from the county in the past 12 months. And that program is open and set to close on Friday, December 17th at 5 p.m. The program is available to small food service businesses only that have been in operation prior to January 1, 2021. So that's an existing program that current Daly City businesses can take advantage of. And based on additional council approvals, there may be other grant programs coming down the line.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a question. Mr. Peltz?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because on the County of San Mateo, you have to be a resident, like for example, San Mateo County, but you have a retail in San Mateo. But if you're not a resident, are you qualified to that program?
So there are a number of eligibility criteria. Certainly, one of the eligibility criteria is that your business has to locate in San Mateo County, and you cannot own more than 5 restaurants within the county to be eligible for these programs generally. So they want to support small businesses as opposed to kind of national credit tenant types or businesses with multiple locations. And I believe an additional criteria is that you must be a resident of the county, but that changes based on the specific grant that we're talking about. So yeah, it varies.
Okay, thank you.
Were there any other questions or comments from other commissioners? Hearing none. So just to clarify, Mr. Phipps, this program specifically, the restaurants is not taking any new applications. This is from the bank of applications from before.
Correct.
Okay. Got it. But there may be in the future other allocations that they could apply to.
Correct. Yeah, in addition to the existing microfood grant program, in discussion with SAMCITA and SMC Strong staff, yeah, they've indicated that they're going to continue to bring items to County Board of Supervisors for approval, which would create foundations for new programs and for more monies to be distributed. So I guess short answer is the monies that we have already allocated will go to small business support in Daly City, to local small businesses one way or another. We're going to do our very best to make sure of that.
That's great news. That's awesome to hear. I'm so glad. And it's such a necessity these days. If there are no other comments, and I'm sure likewise with this one as well, Mr. Phipps, will be hearing from this again. Okay, great.
Yeah, certainly, we'll keep you in the loop.
Thank you. Moving on then to the next agenda item, number 3, commission meeting frequency. It was discussed previously that we would move up the frequency, and a survey was sent out to commissioners. And I believe, Mr. Phipps, you have the results.
Excuse me, just to back up. Yeah, so this item was discussed at our last commission meeting, where there definitely was demonstrated interest from commissioners, but a specific recommendation was deferred, as you guys might recall. And let's see, for the sake of efficiency, kind of in between meetings, staff distributed an online survey to commissioners to solicit responses. And yeah, based on the responses received, there was unanimous interest from commissioners in making the increase. So to formalize the decision, staff recommends the Small Business Commission make a motion to amend the Small Business Commission ordinance to increase commission meeting frequency from 6 to 12 regularly scheduled meetings per year through a recommendation to City Council.
Thank you, Mr. Phipps. There's a suggestion to make a motion. Do any of the commissioners have any comments, or do they want to make a motion?
I make a motion that what did you say? We need to send in an amendment to City Council asking to, getting their permission to have 12 or 12 consecutive meetings in the calendar year?
Yeah, I would say a recommendation to council to amend the Small Business Commission ordinance to increase meeting frequency from 6 to 12.
Oh.
Exactly.
Okay, perfect. Well, I make a motion to do such a thing.
There's a motion on the floor. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 I don't know, Mr. Phipps, can you, I want to move from my phone to the computer, and it keeps telling me I'm still waiting on the host to let me into the meeting.
You should be admitted.
There we go.
Thank you.
I believe that was a unanimous vote, correct, Mr. Phipps?
Sounded like that to me.
Great, motion passes. Moving on then to the next agenda item is the North County Business Resource Center, where we will be listening to a presentation by Amanda Anthony. Ms. Anthony, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. I've really been excited about talking with all of you.
Just for a quick introduction, Amanda, before you take it away, I'd like to introduce our guest presenter, Amanda Anthony. She is the North County Business Resource Center manager and is here to discuss the kind of support the Resource Center provides in our community. Please, Amanda, take it away.
I will. I do want to warn you that my cat will probably walk in front of me at some point. So I apologize for that, but it is nearly her feeding time. And so she likes to do this right around this time. So if you see a cat in front of me, that's Pushka, and that's who she is. So let me share my screen, if that's okay. Some of you may have seen this already. It's not, everything is not the same, but we've got some new information. So it's great to meet all of you. I have talked with some of you in person. I'm really excited to work with you. I am the program manager for our North County programs at Renaissance Entrepreneurship Center. The North County Business Resource Center is located in the city of South San Francisco, but it is funded to support all of North San Mateo County. And for me, Daly City is a really important part of that. And in fact, as the biggest city in the northern part of the peninsula, I think that you almost get priority. So let me tell you a little bit about us. Renaissance has been launching and growing businesses since 1985. We have centers all around the Bay. Our first center was in Soma. It became a women's business center, so that's supported by the SBA. We have a second San Francisco office, which is in Bayview, Hunters Point. Then we went across the Bay to Richmond, although we have expanded down to Oakland and even Berkeley. We started working in the peninsula about a decade ago with our first office in East Palo Alto. And then the North County Business Resource Center came alive in July. And so here I am in South City. And we've also got one in South Bay in San Jose, and soon we will have the SBDC for San Mateo County. So that's currently being run out of NorCal SBDC up in, what is that, Eureka or Humboldt State? Maybe they're the same. But that's going to be located in the offices of SAMCETA. And so we're really excited about that because it kind of provides a growth path for our businesses. So if you are a micro entrepreneur, that's who we've been really working with. We typically work with women because those are the people who, when they hear business class, they're not going to MBAs. We work with a lot of immigrants, we work with a lot of people of color, and we work with a lot of lower to mid-income folks. And so this is who we see as a really important and diverse group of entrepreneurs. And, we know Daly City, we know South City, and we are a diverse community. And I'm excited that we get to work here. In the BRC, in our first quarter, we had 25 workshops and classes. We helped 18 people get digital grants. We got some referrals. We built some websites for clients. We had a pop-up marketplace where I met you, Maybelle, which I'm excited about. And we had one networking event. Our quarter 2 was also very productive. I don't have my report yet, but we continue to have a lot of workshops, a lot of grant opportunities, and a lot of opportunities to share programs from the community. So my goal as the program manager is to create programs that are relevant and timely for our entrepreneurs, and also share with them as much information as I possibly can. So what I've found is that going door to door has really been a valuable way of meeting entrepreneurs and understanding what their needs are. And a lot of them say, hey, it is money, right? And I say, oh, there's been, I applied for, I think it was SMC Strong round 6, and they're like, round 6? Were rounds 1 through 5? And I thought that was really telling, because I think that that's really hard to get all of the entrepreneurs in our community to know about these resources. So one of my goals has really been to hit the streets and get out there and talk to others, and introduce myself and present Renaissance as a resource. Our method of working is, I would say, knowledge building. It's knowledge building and maybe a little bit of hand holding. So we have classes and workshops. Our flagship classes are Start Smart and Business Prep. That's for the beginning entrepreneur who's saying, I have an idea. I want to make this idea a reality. And we say, hey, let's do this the right way. But for somebody who's been in business a little while and wants to have a new channel, we have Pop-Up Accelerator. So how can you sell at these little pop-up events? They're becoming really popular in the Bay. So, what does it look like to have your business there? We have marketing boot camps. So how do you reach more customers? Are you really reaching your target audience with the marketing that you're doing? This one that I have here on the right, the truck is waiting for you. We have a 0 to food trucker class that's coming up in the spring. So we're really excited about the diversity of classes that we have to offer. And we're really hoping to work with more folks. I think that we still need to do a lot with outreach, and especially to people who are thinking about starting businesses. And so I hope that we can talk a little bit later about not only how do we support businesses who are already there, but how do we support businesses who want to take up that retail space that is vacant in Mission Square, or on Mission Street, in our, business corridors. We also do a lot of consultations, and I think the consultations are what typically work a little bit better for our experienced entrepreneurs. I don't want to go in and be like, hey, let's talk about Start Smart. You've been in business for 20 years. You don't need me to tell you how to do business. But maybe you have a question that you haven't really addressed because you don't really know how to ask the question or who to ask. Let me help you with that. I can help you with that. We provide networking, although I'm really excited for that to be in person again. I don't find that online networking is super successful. And then access to capital. And I put the little star here because Renaissance itself does not have money to give out, but we work with CDFIs, banks, credit unions, and on these grants to get people the money that they need. And I think what is really important is that some people don't fill out these documents, they don't fill out the applications because they're scared of it and they don't know what to do, and they don't know what documents they need. And we have people who are experienced in that who can say, okay, send me this. And people are like, oh, I have that, right? Okay, you need the number from line 32. Oh, okay, right? And having that little bit of hand holding can really improve their access to capital. So I'm really excited that we offer that as a service. And actually, speaking of, I do want to mention, if you know any businesses that are seeking an EIDL loan, that they have not yet gotten an EIDL loan, the deadline's coming up. So we have resources to help businesses do that. So if you know of any that are thinking about how they still need to apply for that, like, refer them to me.
I'm sorry, can you tell me what an idle loan is? I'm not aware. What the definition?
That's a great question. I would have to look up the acronym. It is a loan for small businesses, and I think it's a low interest loan. EIDL.
Who qualifies?
Great question.
think the
I
the
have not yet
acronym-
applied for one, so
Yeah,
let me look into this.
I think the acronym is Economic Injury Disaster Loan.
Economic
Oh,
impact, but something like
Okay. Oh, so the EIDL. Okay.
Yeah, the EIDL. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
I've always referred to it by the initial. I'm sorry.
oh, no problem. No problem.
There's
Okay. So
somebody
you
out there I don't know about. Right?
yeah, where can I get some money?
Right.
Okay, good. So so you know what it is.
I know that.
Okay. I have not yet applied for that or helped anybody personally because I don't have the experience in that. But if somebody says to me, I need an EIDL loan, and I say, oh, Gabriella, please help this
Right,
person.
right.
Okay. So one of the things that I have really focused on and what have been trying to focus on is giving people a path. I think that starting a business can be really overwhelming, and many people are very, very well organized in their lives. And then there's like a lot of little details that you have to do as a business. And so if you're thinking about learning how to run a business, we have kind of one path that we want you to take. So we want you to come to our orientation, kind of learn about what Renaissance offers. Then we really want to get you into Start Smart. And we've got 6 cohorts of Start Smart starting in our spring cohorts. Then we've got Business Prep. So Start Smart really helps you get the idea like solidified. It says, okay, I want to run a donut shop. And in Start Smart, we say, okay, what's going to separate you from all the other donut shops that are out there? You know, what channels are you going to use to sell? What are the relationships that you need? What are the things that you need to organize? So it's kind of building this one-page business plan, but not getting really into the details. And then Business Prep is our 10-week business planning class. So once people complete Start Smart and they say, yes, this is an idea that I want to go forward with, we have them go into Business Prep. And that's really where they write their business plan. And so it's your marketing plan, your financial plan, your inventory and logistics management plan. And then we have access to capital so that people can start to learn, hey, what do I need to know? And what do I need to have ready so that I can get capital to start this business? For our existing entrepreneurs, it's kind of thinking about how do you make your business more profitable or more resilient. So I'm really excited about this first series that I have. It's HR for the New Economy. My vision for this is that, you know, everybody's talking about how there's not enough employees, how nobody wants to work anymore. And I think that there are people who are saying, I don't want to accept what was in the past. I want, you know, more ownership of this business, or I want to be respected more. And so this is kind of thinking about like you as a business owner, how can you reframe your search for a great employee? How can you frame your training program? How can you think about how to provide them more benefits? So that's kind of what that looks like. We've got a marketing boot camp. So if you are in business for a little bit of time, you already have a social media presence, you have maybe been creating some content, but you don't feel good about it, or you just want to get better at it. This is the marketing boot camp that we've got at the end of January. We've got financial management, and we've got social media advertising. So our vision here is that we really want people to engage with us more than just like a one-off pop in. Oh yeah, that was really interesting. We want them to become part of the community, because I think that when you trust people and you work together with somebody, you also feel more comfortable asking them questions. So if they have a question after all this is over, they can reach back out and say, hey, actually, I had a question also about, you know, wholesaling, you know, sheets. Okay, let's help you with that. And I'm really excited about that. And so that's kind of how I see us building our relationships with the community. I'm also really proud that we're going to start partnering with the library system in the spring. And so we've got 2 programs coming up with the Daly City Library. We're going to have one on starting a food business from home. And so that's going to look at not only the MICO system, the micro enterprise home kitchen operation, but also cottage food. And if a person is like, I really want to create food from home, but I want to create something that's not that, well, then we can talk about, what the other opportunities are. We also have creating a blog for your small business. So how can you leverage blogging to maximize your SEO and what looks like. So I'm pretty excited about these. They're both going to be online, but I do hope that when we kind of go back to in-person classes, that we will also be able to have some in-person classes at the library. As I mentioned, we have Start Smart coming up. We have also a Spanish version of Start Smart. I do have a question to ask you guys, but we'll come to that in a moment. These are our ones that are coming up right in January. And we do a lot of work supporting county programs. So we went out and did some outreach today on the Microfood Business Grant Program. Brandon and I went out last week to talk to businesses about Choose Local. We really want to make these successful programs because the county's investing a lot of money into it. And they're not only good for businesses, but they're also good for the community. Like the better our businesses are and the more healthy our businesses are, the stronger our community is. So I'm pretty excited to be helping with that. It also offers me a really nice opportunity to talk with entrepreneurs and find out what's going on in their heads. So going out and really talking to people has been a pleasure. So soon we will be having a ribbon cutting at the center. The space is at 366 Grand Avenue in South City. It is tentatively planned for the 1st or 2nd week of February because the work is actually very nearly done in the building. They have to put new carpet in. I think they have to paint the walls, do some other stuff, maybe hang some stuff. And so we're hoping to move into the space by January, not by January, in January. And so the vision would be that we would not only invite all of you, all of our partners across the north part of the county, but we also want to feature some of our Renaissance clients from North County. So one of my favorite Renaissance clients is actually from Daly City. Her name is Nori Henson, and she owns Yo Soy Ceviche. It's a food truck. It's actually not even a food truck yet. She has a dream of having a food truck. Right now, she does a lot of farmers markets. And so we've been helping her start her business, and we're really excited about helping her make it bigger and more stable business. So if you have some ideas of who you'd like to have involved in the ribbon cutting, maybe they're not Renaissance clients yet, but they would be a really great person to have. I would love to hear from you. And so when I was thinking about this, I was also really thinking about how we can work together. So, I think from my side, I would love to hear from you, A, how you think I can help businesses best. B, if you have some businesses that need some support, just giving me that referral and I can reach out to them. And then supporting each other. So if you have a program that you would like to promote, or if you have an action that you're doing, how can I help you promote that? So really thinking about that. And then some ideas for the future. So, do we want to create a kitchen incubator in Daly City and expand the center to have more restaurant incubation? Do we want a general incubator space? How can we work together on events? So that's my questions. And I had one more that I just realized, that we have an opportunity to apply for a grant to translate our Start Smart program into another language. And the question would be, what language would be most beneficial in our community? Because we would get the grant for our community. So I'd love to hear from you if you have any questions or what you think about how we can work together and what we can do to support small business in Daly City.
Thank you so much, Amanda, for that wonderful presentation and for getting the juices flowing with the commission on all of the great things that we could possibly do at this center. Do any of my fellow commissioners have any comments or questions for Amanda? I do, but I'll let you guys go first.
I'd just like to make a quick comment, if that's okay, Commissioner Manio. I was able to see the resource center space on Grand Avenue in South San Francisco. I believe you were able to see it as well, Commissioner Manio, when you were there a few weeks back. It is a beautiful space, and it, when complete, I think will be a great kind of oasis for business support in our community. It adds a lot of character to Grand Avenue in South San Francisco as well. And I'm just excited to see that space coming into itself as a new resource for North County. And very happy to have Amanda kind of leading the charge and having, as it were, kind of a new partner to help us support these endeavors. So really excited to work with you, Amanda, and excited to have worked with you.
Yeah,
the
likewise.
last couple of months.
Me too.
I'm super excited about this resource center. I found out about the funds from the county and then have actually been working very closely with the Economic Development Agency in South San Francisco as well to help promote this business center. I know that you talked about different events. I think, just throwing my 2 cents out there, like, networking events, I think would be extremely beneficial, especially for, small business owners, entrepreneurs. It could be a very lonely kind of game, right? Where you feel like you have to be anything and everything for your business, from the CPA to the maintenance worker to everything else in between. It just sometimes feels like you're on an island. So I think that getting together with other business owners and just kind of sharing struggles and, shooting the breeze with people just to, let our small business community know that they're not alone in their struggles and that there is assistance and that there is camaraderie out there for them. So I think networking events like that, just kind of like meet and greets, mixers, things like that, super simple, no agendas, just kind of say hey to your neighbors. But I also like I know Ernesto in South City talked about doing like maker fairs and things like that for small businesses that actually create crafts and products, to promote it in that way and for them to, have a space for commerce and to sell them as well. And especially like, during the holidays, I know we missed it, but for next year, we can, even maybe put together like packages of stuff. But there's so many other things to do, like the whole kitchen incubator and all of the just general incubators. I like that a lot, especially where we sit with all the close proximity to, biomed and life science and STEM and all of that. So I think those would be really great things. And then maybe even bring like some VCs over and have like pitch contests or things like that, like training people on how to do decks and whatnot. There's so many ideas and so many things that we could do with this business center. So I'm super excited and I'm extremely grateful for you, Amanda. I know you've done a lot of great work, and meeting you at the Centennial a while ago already now. It's just really great to see, what can be done with this resource center. So super exciting stuff. And I know we're going to hear from you again soon. So we'll be glad to have you back.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to say your idea about VC. So our Bayview office does a thing called RenTank because they get a grant from the San Francisco Office of Economic and Workforce Development, the MOEWD. And they do RenTank, and it is that kind of thing. So people learn how to pitch And then the best ones get a small grant at the end to start implementing their business. So that is something that Renaissance has experience with, although I do not. So I think it could be something that we definitely could do.
Nice, great to hear. Great to hear. Do any of the other commissioners have any comments or questions for Amanda?
I have a comment. I just want to say I'm familiar with Renaissance. I can't remember how many years. It's probably been 10 years that I went to one of your women events, and that was hosted in San Francisco. So I've known some of the great work you guys have always done. And so I'm excited that it's come to North County. And I can only imagine you guys are going to do some great work. And I think this year, I was listening to a report that, the job reports, and they were saying, still, even though unemployment, the numbers they're reporting are lower, they're not, someone had commented that they're not counting the people that have just kind of left the workforce and that have gone into entrepreneur, and so many entrepreneurs or people with a desire to be entrepreneurs have been created out of this pandemic. So I think that may be the silver lining, but with that new opportunity comes responsibility. And so organizations like yours and Help Like Us, they need, we all need a clear path of how to, and how to, and to be a clear path of education of how to be a good entrepreneur, business owner, and with some of the challenges and things that just happen as sort of being one. I think, it would be helpful. I've always been big on outreach, and I think one of the things that some of the programs have lacked is outreach. Sounds like you guys are doing a great job with outreach, and anything that we can do to kind of help further that path along with the outreach. I know I've seen you got some marketing material, and I like to get some and put in I own a laundromat, and we have a bulletin board where landlords always come in and they put up, for rent signs, as well as businesses come in and put up other information. So I love to put something like that inside of my store. So for those people interested in learning more about how to be an entrepreneur, know where to go for resources. And I think to the extent that we can not just communicate the resources within California, because there are some national resources that even small businesses can take advantage of. I think we will do them a great service. I like the kitchen incubator. I like the, this is just my opinion, observation. There are a lot, if you're a middle market company, or you're a tech company in the Bay Area, there's a lot of resources out there for you. There's not a lot of resources for Main Street America businesses, right? And a lot of them are the ones that were hit and are struggling. And so I'll echo what the commissioner said. The chair lady said, when we can get back in person, and I agree with you. Networking via Zoom was a great thing during pandemic, but it's not quite doesn't quite offer that intuitive experience you get from being in person. But the whole general incubator idea, I think, has tremendous merit, of even particularly for the new entrepreneurs, getting an idea of seeing what are some interesting businesses out there, right? And because I know when I was thinking about starting a business, is the first question was, well, I know what I've done, but what can I do? What's available? And that's the thought that goes to a lot of new businesses. So I like the fact, I like what I saw that you guys have sort of an introduction to that. But again, I think, letting people know that it's there and it's easily accessible is something that I'm interested in working with you all on, making happen.
Yeah, that would be great. I can come to your laundromat and bring you those materials,
Sure,
because I definitely
absolutely.
I'm glad that you have a laundromat, actually, because that is actually one of the places that I put up information around no, because I'm like, you know what? There's a ton of people who use laundromats, and those people might be sitting there thinking like, I don't want to go to work tomorrow. I'd rather have my own thing. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, and I echo that. Very often people ask me like, an incubator, like, do we really need another incubator? And I'm like, oh, we're decidedly a non-tech incubator. We're a cleaning business incubator. We're a landscaping business incubator, a food business incubator.
That's correct.
I just had a really interesting conversation today, actually, with Urban Library Council, which works with a lot of library systems throughout the country. And they have a strategic initiative around entrepreneurship. And so, I mean, insofar as we can continue to work with the library on, if they have a maker space, for example, I don't know what's available. And I just found out about this morning that it could be available. How could we work together? If you've got people who are coming in to use your 3D printer or your laser cutter, and then they're going to go sell some stuff on Etsy, can I just get those people straight into a class so that they're doing it right? Not just like doing it. So thinking about those innovative kind of partnerships too, I think would be helpful. And I welcome any advice about outreach.
Right.
Hi, Amanda. Good evening.
Hi, Francis.
Yes, in terms of the outreach of your Renaissance, I'd like to offer, my publication, because I know it will benefit a lot of Filipinos, especially the kitchen incubator, because I know a lot of them are not doing like, because they can't afford a retail space, so most of them, do their baking or cooking at home. So I'd like to offer, if you have like flyers or materials that Filipino will have access to it, where they can reach or who to contact with.
Great. That would be amazing.
Yes.
Man, I have a question, I guess piggybacking off of what when the council people member said. So we know we lost a lot of restaurants, but one of the things that I've been seeing pop up is these ghost kitchens. And someone contacted me today about investing in a building that they want to create a ghost kitchen. How do I want to phrase this? To the extent, I know there are some struggling restaurants trying to decide, well, I can't afford to get back into a physical location, but how do I find but I want to keep my business going. How do I find the right or appropriate ghost kitchen? I don't know if you guys have had any seminars or any workshops around that, or if it would be even valuable to have a directory or a compository resource of where restaurateurs can go to look at the alternatives of doing brick and mortar retail versus, going into like a ghost kitchen type setup.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things at play there. We do have a food contracting course in our SOMA office, and so I can definitely refer that one. Okay. But you've got kind of two issues at play, because sometimes Daily Kitchen is a really affordable option. But some of the commissary kitchens are very expensive.
Right. Okay.
And so it's like you'd almost rather have your own kitchen space. Correct. But I do have a list of several kitchens that are an option, but I think that I could, in my kitchen incubator course, if we're having a food business type of incubation course, looking at like, what makes sense for your business? Is it starting at home? Is it renting, an incubator space and doing this? And you've got some businesses that are kind of operating illegally, for example, on Chef, because Chef is like, oh, if you can cook at home, you can cook for Chef. And I'm like, you can't really, but, and then you've got the two things is that you've got ghost kitchens, which are like restaurants that are delivery only.
That's right.
And then you've got your commissary kitchens, which can be restaurants that are delivery only, or you can just prepare food and then go sell it in a food truck or at a pop-up or at a number of other places. It's a really good topic. And I would say that there's a shortage of commissary kitchens, in North County in general. So I would love to have that be part of our conversation.
Okay.
I don't know if that answers your question, but
no, it does. Well, it does in the sense that it is is a big elephant to take a bite of, and that there are many different pieces, and there's some resources, but I think there's a lot of more questions than there are answers right now. But it's a work in progress, I'm sure.
Yeah. La Cocina is a great kitchen incubator, but like Daily Kitchen is just, hey, if you have a business and you want to rent, this is how much it is per hour, right? But if you want to rent it regularly for this many hours, then it becomes like very different. So yeah, some really.
Yeah, I've heard they're not cheap. Yeah, I've been.
Yeah.
Do you receive inquiry so there are still a number of boarded up businesses. Has your organization or worked with some of the municipalities to figure out how many businesses were lost of COVID, or because I know a lot of the municipalities are going by what's still on the I guess the tax record. But that doesn't necessarily mean certain businesses are making money or not making money, but are actually functional. They may just be holding on to the license with the idea that they're going to come back.
Yeah. I haven't seen that data. Maybe Brandon can speak to that, but I do know that the county did a survey of businesses, and it was not, I'm sure it did not reach every business, but there were a lot of businesses who were pretty frank about, if it doesn't get better, I'm going to fold in the next 6 months, or I'm going to fold in the next year. There's a couple of businesses that did better in the pandemic because they were able to pivot online or, move to a delivery system. So I don't know the answer, but it's a good question. I can actually ask the county to share that data if they have it. I only have some answers from a few businesses that were technology interested because they wanted me to reach out in case somebody needed a website or an e-commerce site. So the last thing is, these are, like I said, I mentioned some of our upcoming classes, but this is my contact info. So please feel free to write it down. I'll also send out this presentation or have Brandon send it out to you afterwards. Yeah, please contact me with any questions as you continue to develop. Please continue to share. And as I said, I would love to be your #1 source for referrals. If you're like, hey, I know a business that could use help, and sometimes they just need somebody to talk to, and sometimes they need a lot more help, and you know what, we'll try and figure it out.
And we will definitely keep in touch with you, and if you have any digital flyers to share with us, I'm sure some of us would be glad to post it up on our social media channels, and send it out to people digitally as well.
Perfect. That'd be great. I will send you something right after this. Actually, I will send it to Brandon and have him send it out.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you again so
Thank
much.
you. And we'll be in touch. And Francis, I definitely would love to take you up on your offer. So let's talk more too.
And I need to get my address to you, or I can or Brandon can get it to you, and you can drop off.
Perfect.
Drop a slice.
Yes, that would be great. I look forward to it. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing. Thank you.
Thank you. And moving on to agenda item number 5, potential legacy business program. This was previously brought up by ex-Commissioner Paloma Concordia during our first meeting, but we're continuing the discussion here, and I asked that it be put on the agenda. I think this is a chance for Daly City to honor and celebrate and assist the businesses that have been here for so long, contributing to the commercial heritage, identity of the community. And there are like protections for rent control, right, for residents, but those laws just don't exist for commercial and retail, unfortunately. And it speaks volumes to the people that have been, that have stuck around and rode all of these waves with us, including this one. And I think it's important for us to honor them. So, Mr. Phipps, you have comments and something to say on this slide?
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Germano. Just had a kind of summary that I wanted to go through to jog everybody's memory. I know it's been a while since we discussed this. So yeah, quick reminder to the group. We last discussed this on June 10. And generally, as a definition, as some background, legacy business programs are geared towards celebrating and promoting historic, high quality, small scale, culturally relevant, and community serving businesses in local communities. And as previously discussed, yeah, a good example of an established and a robust legacy business program is actually in our neighbors to the north, city of San Francisco, wherein the city first created a legacy bars and restaurant online guide in 2013, grew it into a legacy business registry in 2015, and evolved the program to include a legacy business historic preservation fund, which offers grants to legacy business and property owners, and actually was the first legislation of its kind when it was approved by the city. So similar to the initial steps taken by City of San Francisco and hearing commissioner interest and also being sensitive to our own internal municipal capacities here. Now, staff is recommending that commissioners consider the formation of a legacy business registry as a first step, which could feature legacy businesses on an online guide or an interactive map to help increase legacy business representation in the city, and of course, assist in driving additional patrons to their establishment. So I had some kind of specific questions for commissioners to consider this evening. Those shown here. Do you support a recommendation to council to form a legacy business registry? And if so, what specific eligibility criteria should be considered? Examples of which can include the number of years an establishment has been in business, the scale or size of the business ownership structure, or considerations associated with some kind of cultural relevance. So with all that in mind, yeah, I'd just like to open up the discussion to the group and hand it back to you, Commissioner Germano.
Thank you, Mr. Phipps, and I appreciate the recap there. Do any of the commissioners have any comments or questions?
I have a comment, and I'm sure it probably will create a question. But first and foremost, I'm in favor of creating such a program, a legacy type business. I heard of the success San Francisco had with it, and I just think it, being a business owner is challenging enough in any environment, and to the extent that a business stays, alive for a period of time, lack of a better word, I think at some point, I think it's important to honor them, and it showcases in the community what's possible for other aspiring entrepreneurs. So in terms of, I think years have to, when you talk about legacy, I think of something that is, beyond, 5 or some number of years. I think scale wouldn't be a high criteria for me. I think if it's a business that's, obviously we have to set some parameters, right? Probably would stay away from independent, sole proprietor type business. I would think, I don't know. I'm just suggesting ownership. I think it should be a broad enough umbrella that shouldn't be restricted or specific to ethnicity, but should include the diversity of the community. So obviously, if a business has been around for an extended period of time, and it's passed from generation to generation, then it is supported or it has done commerce with our community of Daly City for quite some time, and we need to recognize that because it has done commerce with various generations. and obviously cultural significance, in my opinion, add some value because I think you'll find certain ethnicities have had or will have a small presence, and to the extent that a business has been serving that unique community niche, we should showcase it. So
Thank you, Commissioner Hill.
sure.
Do any of the other commissioners have questions or comments? Commissioner Espiritu? Or Commissioner Cruz?
Hello, hello.
Yes?
Yes, sorry, because I'm driving. Yeah, pretty much I agree with Commissioner Hill, the length of business that they've been, minimum of 5 years, and that also affects not just, culturally wise, it made an impact to the community. So yeah, I think I agree with Commissioner Hill's assessment of that.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Cruz, any comments or questions? None? Okay. I definitely have some comments. I completely agree too. I think when I hear legacy, I don't know, for some reason, I also hear legendary. So businesses where it's like people travel to come to the city for that specific business. Like I know one of my favorite, Mediterranean places is in that town, and I will actually drive over there to eat that. Like, are there businesses like that in Daly City where it's known for whatever they do and people travel, even if it's not that far, even if it's the next town over, but they still travel to get there? I do agree with the years in business, however, not necessarily the same number. I think, of course, this day and age, 5 years is hard to get to. But the ones that have lasted 20, 30 through, different generations, there's something to be said to that. And to be able to keep that. I know in the city, and of course, we're not as big or as sunken as the city, but theirs, I believe, is 30 years. And they also look at businesses that are over 20 years, but less than 30, if it's had a cultural significance to the neighborhood that they're in. So, and they have the stipulation where they cannot have ceased operations for 2 consecutive years within that 30-year timeline. I don't know if that's too stringent for us. I don't know how many of those would even be eligible in Daly City. But I also would like to see a limitation for national chains, because obviously Target and, whatever, Dunkin' Donuts, those are not, or In-N-Out, those are not small businesses, right? So I think definitely those should be removed. We definitely want to deal more with small businesses, mom and pop, independent, not big box. The people that don't have that kind of national chain support. I think it's important to honor them because they made it kind of by themselves, right? And they made it because of the support that they garnered from their community. And so therefore, it's a cyclical thing where we're each contributing to each other. The community contributes to the business, contributes to the community. So that's what I think when I think legacy business. I don't think we made it a point to make any type of decision right now. But I think somewhere along the line of 20 to 30 years would probably be more appropriate if we had businesses like that. I could think of a few already, but I don't know how many there would be. Do you have access to that information, Mr. Phipps?
So that information is available, I believe, through our kind of decades-old business license databases that we've developed. I would have to follow up with our finance staff that take the lead on our business licensing in order to confirm that. But I guess the short answer is that it's not as easy as just putting a business name into a search bar and having an answer spat out. It's going to have to be a little bit ad hoc. So, you know, if, for example, there was a business that we think would be well suited to be a legacy business, and if through some kind of nomination process, you know, a business is recommended, we can do kind of a search to identify how long that business has been in the city, and that can help to, you know, kind of carve out or create our assessment of whether or not they're eligible or they're qualified.
So that's a great point, and I know we have talked in prior commission meetings about one, getting data and then utilizing the data to do outreach, but also to, you know, to serve the community better. And so would it be valuable to, you know, because it seems like the business license is the repository of the data, right? Regardless of if it's updated or not, right? So we assume it's updated. But would it be valuable, and I think it might be, to direct some resources towards creating a program, not a program, but what am I looking for? Of scrubbing the data and so that we can analyze it and can get data on the length of years that a business has been around. Because it seems like it would be more efficient to determine how many businesses we have over 20 years and then send out some communication. And that'll be an easier way to identify them, as opposed to trying to identify them, then see how long they've been around, right? And so, but I just think once we set up some kind of analysis program to extract the data, then we can set up the criteria for which we need it, which once we grab some data, I'm sure it'll be useful for other areas. And in terms of the length of time, I agree that it needs to be significant. 15, 20 years, I think the starting point is to determine how many businesses that we still have existing that actually would even fall in that criteria, since we're such a small area. And then how do we also, one of the things for consideration is, if the business is still around, but the ownership has changed, how would we address that? Will we still qualify them as a legacy business, or are we doing it just for the original owner? So there's just some things that we would, you know, want to consider as we, you know, go through the process.
Thank you for bringing those items up, Commissioner Hill. Yeah, I just want to say that, you know, this is kind of an initial meeting to gauge high-level interest.
Okay.
And I think ultimately, at least my thought was that, you know, commissioners can make a motion which would culminate in a recommendation to council to, for example, consider the formation of a legacy business program. And once we receive that direction from council, we'll be able to really dig into this and start to, you know, carve out the details of what a program would look like. Because, right, in this meeting, we also discussed eligibility criteria a little bit, but there are a number of other items that I think that we would need to discuss and kind of get clarification on before we can really roll something like this out. And, you know, things like that include nomination processes, for example, you know, who can nominate, how do we gauge eligibility once a nomination is made, kind of technical details like that. So I think that based on commissioner's motion, if there is one on the floor this evening, and subsequent council direction, you know, I imagine that this will be an item that will come onto future Small Business Commission agendas for discussion.
Clarify, we can make a motion to make a recommendation to council without having hashed out and ironed out all the details of the program. Just saying that we would like to recommend a program is enough for now.
Can I jump in here, Brandon?
Yes, please, Stephen. Thank you.
So I think this is a really great opportunity to get in at the start of this and provide as much input as possible so that Brandon can run with it.
Okay.
Because when we do take it to council, we will want to have a lot of these concepts developed already. So this is invaluable to us tonight to
Right.
kind of really nail down some of the eligibility criteria a little bit more, because then we can say to the city council that the Small Business Commission has actually recommended that we consider X number of years as the marker on that one, and just kind of go through the list. So if there is kind of, if all the commissioners provide input tonight, then Brandon can kind of run with that with next steps and in detailing what the program would look like on his end. So this conversation is great. We can continue it as well if there's more questions or if there's things you'd like Brandon to explore more. And we can keep that discussion going, but this is great so far. But as specific as you want to get, that helps us tonight.
No, great. Can I would just say in the interest of time, and then I'm gonna have to go get my daughter soon. But I don't know, is our next meeting scheduled in January or February? Or has that not been decided? But anyway, so I know it's gonna be first quarter. Maybe Brandon would be helpful is to send a follow-up email to the commissioners, just asking us to give some input based on a criteria, and then we can you can culminate that information, and then at the next meeting we can decide on what are the most important criteria that will be in present for, I mean, that we would want to have in a program like this, so that when, I guess and so that you'll have something concrete to present to the commission. I'm sorry, to the council. Because I think it's a as Stephanie said, I think it's a very important subject, and I think to the extent that we can sort of nail down and we can get it immediately at the beginning of the year on their agenda, that we can make some traction, first part of the year, and then probably the second quarter we can kick something off. That would be a great goal, I think, to strive towards.
That's a great point too, because I know it's hard to just kind of detail all this on the spot tonight in the meeting. You need time to think about it. And you're right, your next meeting will be February, and it takes us 3 city council meetings to update the ordinance, because there's a set time and place. There's a first and second reading of the ordinance, and that's a timeline right there with updating your meeting frequency. But you'll have a more regular meeting frequency after February. So you'll have more opportunity to discuss this from month to month as well. So maybe if Brandon, you can send this out, commissioners can think about it over the holidays, over January.
And Stephan, you said there's a city council. I think that was great information in terms of us understanding the tonight. I think if I remember, we have 2 motions. One is the motion to have more frequent meetings. The second is the motion to have establish a legacy program. When would be the earliest that if we agreed on the particulars, when will be the earliest that we could present that to city council? Is that February or March or January?
I think that we would be looking at spring.
Okay.
To present the legacy business program is what it's sounding like with the timeline.
Okay. And that's because the council has their meetings every other month. I never did understand that.
They're twice a month.
Okay, twice a month. Okay.
Yeah, the second and fourth Monday of the month.
Right. So our February meeting, if we were able to nail down everything, then we can have the information prepared for the council's March or April first thing in spring meeting. Is that a good realistic target to shoot for?
I do want to just say that Brandon will need to take that time to work with our finance department if there's a really big data ask here with the business license, and so I don't know if I can.
Oh no, I was just saying the idea. I was thinking that we were not going to go the route of even scrubbing the data until we got approval from council. I was just thinking us getting the concept of a legacy building business in front of the council so that they could approve it.
I think sometime in the spring is what I'll say. March or April probably sounds realistic to bring something to council.
Okay.
Because we do want to give you the opportunity to discuss this again as well. So
Sure.
Like the points that Commissioner Hill brought up, and I also think that it's important for us to know and understand our small business community, because we can say all day we want, you know, these types of businesses to be celebrated and showcased in the legacy program, but we don't even have those kinds of businesses, right? So, and I know that the data scrub is such a big ask, and I'm not sure, you know, if there's any way to somehow synthesize the information. But if we just knew even a little bit, if there were even businesses that old, or like 20, 30 years old, 40 years old, or whatever it is, if because I wouldn't want to ask for a program for businesses that don't even exist here.
Right.
Yeah.
Good point. Good point.
what we can do after this meeting is, you know, Brandon, we can put all of our heads together and work with finance and try and do a dive into that business license data and see what it would take at least to learn more.
Okay.
Great. And I'll say, as a tool moving forward, I really did enjoy using the Survey Monkey to solicit your guys' responses on the commission meeting frequency. I enjoyed it so much because I received prompt feedback from all of you guys. So thank you very much. And I think that could be a tool that we can use for this as well, to solicit kind of more detailed response to what a eligibility criteria and some of the other details associated with a legacy business program might look like. So in between meetings, we can certainly do that.
This you make up a good point, and thank you, by the way, for the nudge for me doing the survey. So does the city have businesses' email address? Do you guys have a repository, or in order to send out the Survey Monkey to businesses to collect that data?
We do.
Okay. Oh, cool.
We do. I will say, business license database is a large database of businesses.
Okay.
And, you know, we're never going to, well, we want to get as close to 100%
Right.
accurate information as possible.
Right.
So I think that that's what we're shooting for, but we may not have all the information on every business in the city. Part of the reason for that is that some businesses don't have emails.
Right.
Yeah. So the data is, we're trying to get it as perfect as possible, but it's not necessarily at 100%.
Collecting email addresses is new for us. That was something.
No, that's why I was surprised. I
Yeah.
was like, wow, that's you guys ahead of the curve if you have their email address.
Yeah, we just went through our last round of business license renewals, and I think that was the first time we asked on the application for email addresses. So it's brand new.
Nice, great.
If no other questions or comments, we will move on to the public comment portion of our meeting. Mr. Phipps, did we receive any cards for public comment tonight?
I have not received any public comment in connection with this meeting.
Okay, well then, thank you all for your time this evening. Great to see you all. And nothing else, then I will adjourn this meeting at 8:20 p.m. I hope you all have a great evening.
Great evening. Happy
Thank you.
holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Okay.
Just a quick last point to the group. Our next regularly scheduled meeting is February 10, 2022. And we look forward to seeing you guys there.
Yes. Safe and happy
Here.
holidays. All right. Bye-bye.